I'm starting here.
Yeah, well, I just didn't want to be standing there when it popped. Can you ask them to let us know when it's going or something?
I got it right here. I'm watching. Hello, everybody. How are you doing? Keeping an eye on things. I hope you can hear me. Eric Burke is going to join me here. And Eric tried to come in yesterday, but the roads locked you up.
Yeah, that was the plan. Come in, and got a text from my friend, meteorologist Jeff Desnoyers. He said roads are terrible, especially the way I come into work. Roads were closed. Unfortunately, couldn't play the game yesterday. Right. Jeff did a great job covering everything, and so far, kind of panning out the way we expected it to, as far as the way yesterday went and what we're seeing here this morning too.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times when you have a winter storm, and I talked about this during the stream yesterday, there's so many different layers to this. It wasn't just like the first thing everyone says to you when there's a winter storm coming, is it going to snow? It's the number one question. They don't tell me where they live. They don't tell me what time of the day, but this storm had so many more layers to it, being that it wasn't straight up snow. It was going to be freezing rain, sleet. It was going to be rain, and it was going to affect different parts of the Tennessee Valley in different ways, like what's happening right now. And it's a great segue to the radar, and I'll let you take over, because what we got going on right now is not the same for everybody, right?
Correct. We actually had a few lightning strikes here this morning. I know that it's been at a handful of strikes probably over the past hour or so, but even some occasional thunder is possible as we go through the rest of the morning, maybe even into the early afternoon. Obviously, what you see over our western counties, Franklin, Colbert, and Lauderdale County, we've got some sleet still, and we're going to go through road temperatures. We're going to go through current temperatures. There's just so many elements to this ongoing winter storm, and that's why this was such a complicated forecast for a lot of people. And I think one of the more misleading things yesterday was actually that the sleet wasn't really accumulating in most areas, where you had that freezing rain mixing in. You get that glaze of ice. I know my driveway yesterday, could have pulled out my hockey skates there and just kind of, well, probably wouldn't have been good for the blades there, but could have at least slid the puck across it. But this is what we've got right now on the radar. We're using the high top radar here, and we've got big area of rain here. Heavier showers now pushing into parts of Jackson County. If you're in, say, Boaz, for example, not seeing anything, as well as DeKalb County, Fort Payne, for example, you are dry for the time being, but this is all going to start to change here as we go through the next couple of hours. The rainfall will continue to become more widespread, but we've got this area here over northwest Alabama, and that's where we're still seeing some winter precipitation mixing in. This is probably going to be just some sleet at the moment, and there's a sharp cutoff too. If you're in the Quad Cities right now, might just be seeing some of that colder rain. But we're going to use some of our severe weather tools, actually. This is a good way where the debris signature, which we're usually seeing potential tornado debris, but the way this product works, it's actually pretty neat. It hits the precipitation, and where it sees its most uniform, that's probably just going to be cold rain. But where you see some of those oranges and yellows, that's where it's probably picking up on that sleet. So if you go into parts of northeast Mississippi, for example, up there into Wayne, Lawrence County, Giles County, Pulaski, this is potentially where we have more of that sleet mixing in, just because where that radar beam and this product hits the sleet, it's going to be all different sizes, because it's kind of that slushy ice basically falling from the sky, and that's just where you kind of get a look of that, is where we're seeing potentially more of that sleet. And you just go back to the radar and it kind of matches up up in this area, for example. Right here is probably where we have the most sleet at this time. So just kind of an interesting feature. Want to share that with you. We're going to go over to our road temperatures at the moment, and this is why if we do have sleet or even possibly some freezing rain, we might start to see more ice building up on those roads over parts of Lauderdale, Colbert County, maybe even into Franklin County. A little more unsure of that as your road temperatures are just above freezing. But you've got road temperatures in the 40s there in Decatur, so that would include I-65 right now, as well as down into Coleman. Coleman there, 41 degrees. So good news for travel from an icy roads perspective for sure on I-65, but what we've got is such heavy rainfall, and I could vouch for this coming in this morning. I got to the station about 7:10 or so this morning, and the ponding and puddles from the high rainfall rates, that is definitely going to be a concern. There were cars on the roads, some of them driving faster than I would certainly suggest. You've got poor visibility from the high rainfall rates, but if you look at these road temperatures, Gadsden there 42, and then we've got about 35 there in Fort Payne. Even most of Middle Tennessee right now, up there in Fayetteville, Lincoln County, Moore County, and also Franklin County, Winchester. I'd keep an eye out for sure in Franklin County, Winchester, because 33, this is going off our road sensor. That doesn't mean that every road is at or above freezing. So icy conditions certainly possible, and hazardous travel over portions of northwest Alabama. Now, I know it's Sunday morning. A lot of you have your church plans. A lot of church services today have been canceled due to the inclement weather, and I think that's a very smart decision. You don't want all of those people going out on the roads to head into church, but this is what we've got as far as road temperatures. And then if you look at our rainfall totals that we've seen so far, I believe this is the past 24 hours. Now, Muscle Shoals, just over an inch of rain. I think that is factoring in some of that sleet, just under an inch of rain there in Russellville. And then the other rainfall amounts are going to start to gradually increase. We could easily see 1 to 3 or more inches of rain by the time this is all said and done. And of course, we're going to go through this forecast hour by hour coming up in a second here. But heavy rain continues to spread across the area. Might even hear some thunder as we go through the rest of the day, which is kind of crazy to think about that, but still hazardous conditions most likely over northwest Alabama and Middle Tennessee here this morning. And obviously you are the folks that saw the most amount of ice buildup or accretion yesterday too.
Yeah, a lot of you asking questions. Somebody just asked, state of emergency still for the area. I don't think that's been lifted, so yes. Somebody telling me, Sue letting me know that the temperature just dropped 10 degrees in Athens, went from 46 to 36. I'll show you the temperatures in just a moment. It's a pivotal part of the forecast. Somebody asked, Coleman County, 6 a.m. tomorrow, what are the roads going to be like? That's part of the forecast that we'll focus on as well, because even though many areas are raining now, we got colder temperatures coming back tonight, so it's going to get even colder than it already has been during the duration of the storm. So whatever's wet could freeze up. The concern in Coleman County and for all the Tennessee Valley will be patchy black ice tonight and tomorrow morning, and that'll be something that we'll have to watch, and that could impact your morning commute on Monday. Again, so many layers to this storm. That's the big part of this, is it's not just one size fits all. It wasn't just one day. It's a prolonged period. The duration of the storm was going to be almost 48 hours, really, almost a little bit more than that, actually, almost 60 hours. So yeah, lots to talk about. You look at the radar, and then I want to show you the temperatures. And Eric, one thing I'm a bit concerned about is somebody just wrote me and said Ardmore's at 33 now. Should we be concerned that these temperatures are maybe dropping a little faster here this morning than maybe originally thought? Because you have a lot of below freezing temperatures or at freezing temperatures west of I-65 now. And that's a little bit faster than the models had indicated. And there's still a lot of precip out there. When we go through the afternoon, I think it's still mainly rain, but something we got to watch, right?
Certainly something to watch here. And we've got a bit of a temperature spread, and we are anticipating a little bit more additional warming as we go through the morning hours. But these temperatures definitely by the afternoon. I know I saw Jeff's 10-day forecast. When the blue arrow going down comes out, you know that these temperatures are going to fall incredibly fast here. Now, best case scenario is that the precipitation moves out very quickly. And again, your hour by hour forecast using future radar coming up. The faster the precip moves out of the area, we do have that window where we could potentially see some of the roads starting to dry out, because the air coming in behind this is also going to be very dry. So that is going to help in kind of the evaporation process on the roads. Worst case scenario is the precip sticks around a little bit longer and the temperatures still fall just as fast. And now you've got that glaze of ice over a lot of the roads. We are definitely concerned with the roads tonight into tomorrow morning. maybe even some lingering slick spots potentially into Tuesday morning too, as temperatures on Monday through the entire day are going to be very, very cold. We've extended our 48 first alert weather days now to include Monday, and that's for the combination of potentially dangerous cold as well as those patchy spots of black ice. But this is going to be noon now on Sunday today, and we still have temperatures in the low 30s. At least that's what the model is indicating there over parts of northwest Alabama, but hopefully that precipitation will come to an end where we've got places that are in the mid to upper 40s even. I'm sure Jeff had a great time forecasting the high temperature for today, but everyone in the 30s and 40s here. So this will just be plain rain, cold rain at that, along with gusty winds, so it will feel even more miserable. But we go into about 2 o'clock here, and we've got temperatures still 30s and 40s. Now, northwest Alabama, the place that has the worst roads at the moment and potentially will have more icy conditions than everyone else, now is at 31 degrees, and that's the warmest you're going to get for a while, where the rain is now finally starting to depart off to the east into parts of Georgia as we go into about 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Finally, everyone is dry, but this is 8 o'clock now. The sun has set. The front has come through. We've got those breezy northwest winds plus the dry air, so that should help in drying out the roads. But if we see 3 inches of rainfall today, you have to think about all that runoff, the shoulder areas, turning lanes potentially. Those are the areas that are going to see the most frequent ice on the roads too. And then we go through the overnight, not seeing any clearing, and these are our temperatures. This is just the air temperature at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Now everyone is in the teens, with the wind chill potentially dropping even into the single digits too.
I got to go back to the radar. I'm getting some great updates from y'all. Everybody who's out in like Tuscumbia, or if you're out in Russellville, getting reports of thunder and lightning. Gloria says lightning and thunder in Tuscumbia. Katie said it too. Gloria, if you're still here, can you tell me what kind of precipitation you have coming down? Are you thunder sleeting right now? Because I'm wondering, that's a very rare occurrence, just to let you know. And if you have thunder and lightning, I'm wondering, yeah, I see the lightning strikes right there coming up. So I'm wondering if you got some lightning and thunder in Leeton, Kelsey says. Anybody who is essentially in that area that has the lightning strikes, if you could let me know what your precip is, that would be awesome, because I want to know if it's rain, sleet. I'm wondering if we have some thunder sleet. We call it thunder snow sometimes, but this would be thunder sleet. I don't know. It's kind of cool.
But to see those strikes pop up, thank you everyone for chiming in. We obviously appreciate all of your reports. If we go back to the temperatures though, this is where it's kind of, you know, the most difficult. Right now at Northwest Alabama Regional Airport there in the Shoals has an air temp of 36. Now you could obviously see sleet. If you've got colder air aloft, you still get kind of that sleet effect coming down. We've got 33 in Russellville, 34 in Athens, and that is a big temperature drop. A lot of you just seeing heavy cold rain, but thunder snow is pretty unique phenomenon. Have you heard?
I was in a thunder snow event when I was in Peoria, Illinois, and it actually made national news. We had our TMP was out in the back, and they were cleaning off the satellite dish, and a lightning strike was incredible, because the lightning is actually the color of it, or the brightness of it's enhanced off the ice crystals in the snow. So what happens is you get this unbelievable, it's like a strobe light at a club. It's crazy, right? And also your thunder can be a bit more enhanced, I do believe, when you have thunder snow or thunder sleet, or when you have really cold temperatures and you have some thunder. And many of you saying that the thunder is like the loudest you've ever heard here is what they're all saying right now.
Yeah, and if you have low cloud bases like that, it's going to kind of get that echo effect. It kind of traps in that noise too in the lower levels. I have heard thunder snow on 2 occasions in my life. One was a massive snowstorm in Chicago. I think we got over 2 feet of snow with that. But we were walking around the city out in the snow, and all of a sudden I heard it, and it just echoed and echoed, and we're like, wow, that's kind of cool, kind of concerning as well. But yeah, we've got to talk about the winds too. I'm sure you've noticed that, or even if you were just sleeping in a little bit on a Sunday, a rainy Sunday morning, why not, forget the alarm clock and sleep in a little bit. But the winds, with some of that rain or sleet or whatever you're seeing at the moment, these winds are going to continue to gust 20 plus miles per hour through the day today. And continuing. Now, this wind hopefully will aid in the drying process, so you get that wind over the roads, and that will help dry out some of those areas. But still stressing, we've got the concern of not only dangerous cold overnight tonight, but potential for patchy black ice developing. So I know a lot of school districts made the smart decision, canceled school. Full list of all closures and everything on our website, WAFF.com. It's right there on the homepage. You can't miss it to know if your kids have school tomorrow or not. And thankfully, a lot of them just made the decision and said, you know what? Why have our kids on school buses going to school on a Monday morning? And, that's kind of the right decision, in my opinion.
Yeah, I make the call early. Why wait? If it's going to be an abundance of caution is my word I've used for the last month. Make sure everybody's safe. Hey, the winds too. One thing now to add, the direction's going to change too. Yes. That's important, y'all, because we were southwest this morning. We're going to go northwest this afternoon. Why is that important to you? It tugs down the colder temperatures. That's why your temperatures are going to drop tonight as we start to see the back edge of the system move through. And I'm going to put you back on. Be careful. I'm in control of the clicker right now.
Let me get myself
my
together here. But yeah, I mean, this is an event. We saw it kind of unfold early yesterday morning too. A lot of the roads across the whole North Alabama, Middle Tennessee kind of shut down or travel not advised too. We saw it on the Parkway, 565 closed.
So many roads.
For a while. Chapman Mountain out to Moore's Mill, 72, icy bridges and everything. And on 72, you start hitting bridge after bridge after bridge.
You one of those quickly?
Yeah, and hopefully, people just kind of heeded the warning, stay off the roads. That's the best thing. Now, things did improve, and one of the more unique things that we kind of saw with this too, and it has a lot to do with that southwest wind that we just showed you, talking about the changing wind direction. We're still in the warm sector, but once that cold sector arrives, we have the cold front coming in, what we call a backing wind. So it will go from south to more northwest. And that's where that Arctic blast really starts to come surging in. And that's where we see our temperatures falling. That's when we see the ice possibly starting to pop up too. Yeah. And I'm not sure, I know we've talked to many of the public infrastructure officials too. And the hardest thing for them was determining what is the best plan of attack here.
Yep.
Because if you put that brine down right now, it just gets washed away, I'm assuming, because we've got standing water on most of the roads too. Is there a window this afternoon or evening where they could possibly get out there? But then the roads are still wet. I don't know how that works firsthand.
Yeah, people with a much higher pay grade than me can worry about that.
Exactly.
I'll tell you that. But I will say this, though, is if you get that window of dryness, it gives them a chance at least. And you talked about the preparations. It's very important to remember too, I thought they were like proactive prepping this time. It was awesome. But each county had to go about it differently because what was going to happen in Huntsville wasn't going to happen in Florence, and what was going to happen in Albertville, and what was going to happen in Scottsboro or Fayetteville. So everybody had their own plan of attack, I felt like. And I know the roads got very dicey and icy last night for parts of the region, but I thought they rebounded pretty well yesterday morning. Just from me, I was here all morning. I saw the roads go downhill, and then as I was leaving at 1 o'clock, there was still some icy spots, and the bridges and overpasses you're not going to be able to fix right away. But I thought they got us back up and running pretty quickly. I drove home, and it was okay for me at 1 o'clock. But I was impressed how quickly they bounced back after what was looking like a really crippling morning. I felt like the roads were kind of getting back to where they needed to be by 1 o'clock. And then it went downhill again with the next round of precipitation, especially in northwest Alabama. But, series of precipitation, it's hard for crews to keep up with that. When you're getting 1, 2, 3, 4 shots of different types of precipitation all in a 48-hour stretch.
Yeah. Let's show some cameras. What we got as far as cameras?
Don't you love working out of my show?
That's why I'm letting you be in charge, and you know where everything is. Think of it as like PowerPoint, and he's got things just all jumbled up. But it works for him, and that's fine with me. So whatever works for you, Jeff, I'm happy for you.
I keep a clean house, I promise. But my videos, my cameras, everything in my show is a debacle. But yesterday I showed the Decatur camera, excuse me, it got iced over. So I couldn't use it for part of the morning, but I started using the Algo cameras, and I could see that the bridge was pretty icy yesterday. That's not the case right now, but notice the temperature in Decatur though. It just went back down to 37 again. So yeah, I mean, this is another situation where, okay, yeah, when I came into work, you know, Decatur was 50 degrees when I came into work today. So we've already went up to 50 and we've already dropped back to 37, and we might even go up again one more time. I mean, it's crazy, the temperature fluctuations within the storm timeline itself, which is pretty wild. So I need to get around you first. Just a second. I got to hit a button, my friend. And then Athens, been tracking weather there, and it's mainly just wet right now. I'm all choked up. And 65, but notice the temperature there too, dropping back into the 30s already. So this drop in temperature happening. The Parkway Huntsville camera, it's not shimmying like it was earlier this morning when the winds were gusting up 40 miles an hour. Winds have backed off just a bit. They'll pick back up again this afternoon, but obviously some wet roads. Now, yesterday at this time, that was closed because there's an overpass right there, and there's an area where they block it off, and there was no cars on this road yesterday. So a big improvement in terms of seeing some vehicles.
And again, that's the thing with the elevated roads for sure, is that they get that cold air over and under, so it's effectively, you know, getting cooled from all sides, and that's why those bridges and overpasses are always the first that we say, you know, these are the roads that are going to have the biggest impact here. Some people questioning the sleet or ice that they're hearing about. You know, a lot of this can just be cold rain. The way the radar looks at things from this perspective is essentially it takes the air temperature and then it tries to reflect that as best as it can on the radar based on what it assumes the precip type is. Now, there's a chance if you're in the pink area here in our western counties or in Middle Tennessee that you are just seeing cold rain. It might be freezing rain depending on what your surface temperatures are, but this is basically the radar tool itself trying to do its best assumption of what's happening. So
yeah, like I think is it Lucretia Phillips? She says the temperature didn't drop. You said Lauderdale County. Please, everybody understand, Lauderdale County is huge. So if you live in Lexington, what's happening in Lexington is not happening in Zip City. So it's very important. So like Lauderdale County, like when you looked at the radar, it would be areas like Waterloo out to the west and northwest of Florence that would have some sleet and freezing rain. If you don't live in those areas, you're probably still just rainfall. But that's what I'm talking, like that's a great example of not just the entire area dealing with different precipitation, but there it is happening in one particular county where what's happening in eastern Lauderdale County is not happening in western Lauderdale County right now. And you can see that on this graphic. It does a great job showing it.
And going back to this debris tool that we use, the correlation coefficient, if you want to get really radar scientific with it, we showed this at the beginning of the stream. Maybe you're just joining us, and of course we appreciate you taking the time on a Sunday to do it. But this tool is what we use to confirm tornadoes with the debris. And the way it works is that radar beam hits all the different size objects. Usually it would be, you know, wood, tree limbs, etc. if you do have a tornado, but it's also effective when you're talking about mixed precipitation type, because this area that I've circled, it's probably picking up on all different size sleet pellets. And this is pretty far from the Columbus, Mississippi radar site too. So we might not be getting the best grasp on this, but I would say definitely these areas circled, northeast Mississippi into Middle Tennessee, potentially out there toward Waterloo and west of you in the Quad Cities, into parts of Colbert County. This is probably where we are seeing some of that sleet mixing in, because sleet is not uniform like the raindrops would be, where you see that steady kind of pinkish color toward Russellville into Lawrence County, Morgan County into Coleman County. And that's where we have just kind of that uniform heavy rain, where most of those raindrops are very uniform in size, where the sleet, kind of that slushy ice pellet, is just going to kind of fall that way. We're going to go back to the radar really quick here. Still got quite a bit of lightning there right towards you guys in the shoals. And then we're going to talk road temperatures quick, because it's been a moment since we've showed this. So here are your current road temperatures. Now, 29 in Russellville. That's potentially freezing rain coming down now. So you might see a little bit of ice potentially building up. until we get any confirmed reports of, slick roads. Just going off the road temperatures and the active precipitation you're seeing, this has a pretty good chance of potentially being freezing rain, which is just normal cold liquid rain hits something like the road that's at 29 degrees in Russellville, at or below freezing, and then it starts to build up with a little bit of ice too. And even Moulton now awfully close. You're at 33 degrees. We've got 28 up in Leoma. Pulaski's roads estimated to be about 33 degrees. Everyone else above freezing too. And you can see kind of that little nose of colder air trying to creep in to parts of northeast Alabama. And this was another extremely complex part of the forecast because some of the weather models were showing that wedge coming in. And we see this occasionally, what we call cold air damming.
Somebody was just asking if you could explain that.
Actually. Okay, so basically you get a mini cold front coming in, and it's actually going to move in from east to west versus most of our cold fronts that just swing through west to east like our weather typically comes in. When we track those lines of storms coming in, everything's moving west to east. Cold air damming is essentially a mini cold front, and it moves from east to west, but you get a blast of colder air coming in from the east, and that was showing up on some of the models and showing those temperatures really starting to fall late last night, overnight into this morning, where almost everywhere else that wasn't dealing with this wedge front coming in, everyone else's temperatures were warming too. So, I hope that makes sense. It's kind of hard to just visualize that there.
You did great. That was awesome.
Okay, but yeah, cold air damming, the wedge front. Sometimes we see that even during the spring months too, where you could have a 65-degree day in the shoals, and then you've got the folks on Sand Mountain. If there's a wedge that's building in, they're hanging out in the 40s potentially too. It's one of those microclimate type forecasting things.
I'm going to answer this real quick. Nancy, you said, I'm in Decatur. I want to know if I got to go to work today. First off, when are you going to leave? When are you coming home? And I'm not trying to stalk you, but I need a little bit more information because if you're leaving now, you're good to go. It's just wet. But if you leave later in the day and then you have to come home tonight at 10 o'clock, there could be some patchy black ice because the rainfall totals that you see here that we have the graphic up, where's the rain going to go? Like, unless it dries out, which was what we want, if the cold temperatures come diving in this evening and all this starts to ice up again, your concern, Nancy, won't be trying to get to work. It might be trying to come home from work. So I need more information. Answer to be determined, okay? Greg, you're welcome. All your updates about the thunderstorms, fantastic. I appreciate it because it's awesome because it lets us know that, one, that part of the forecast verified because we talked about that the other day. And Nancy just chimed in. She says, I got to leave at 10 o'clock and I come home at 4. Nancy, if you want the day off, you don't want to hear my answer because I think you can go to work, but it'll be a wet one. And you'll be dealing with some wet roads. And then by 4 p.m., make sure you get on the road right away because once we get into the colder temperatures in the evening, roads could ice up. So if you can get home before that happens, which would be 4 o'clock, I think you're okay in Decatur. Just be safe and have a good day at work, okay?
Yeah, and anytime we get potential winter weather, we constantly get these messages from you folks saying, hey, what are the roads going to be like at so-and-so? I've got this thing to do, and we give you our best educated guess, but we always will say, use good judgment, good common sense. If you don't think it's safe to travel, please do not travel. I know there are people that have to be at work. I understand. We're here. Jeff made it to work. He was here all day yesterday. We come up with plans ahead of time. We've got quite a bit of our staff tonight staying in hotels as well, so we could all make it into work for the morning newscast that starts at 4:30 tomorrow morning. Just kind of planning ahead, trying to keep people safe. But look at these rainfall totals, Jeff, that have jumped up in the maybe 20 minutes since we've shown this graphic. Huntsville went from 1/10 of an inch to 4/10 of an inch. So you picked up over 1/3 of an inch of rain in about 20 minutes here. And these are the rainfall rates that we'll be dealing with for a good portion of the day.
Yep.
And that's not good because you're going to have standing water on these roads as the temperatures are falling.
There's nowhere for it to go. I mean, when you look at the radar, you could pop that back up again. This rain's coming down heavy. So a lot of you who keep asking me, the number one question I'm getting is, my town tomorrow, can I go to work at 4 a.m.? what the best way to do, and just summarize this, and I'm going to use my hands, but sometimes I got to use my hands. I got to put the camera back on. Don't run away yet. Stay there right there. This is where I got to talk with my hands. I'm not Italian, but I just have to do this. This is what I do. So tomorrow, if we're going to drop those temperatures tonight and anything on the roads is wet, if we don't have enough time in between to dry things out, it doesn't matter what location you live in, whether you live in Rainsville or you live in Coleman or you live in Marshall County. I see a whole bunch of questions on here. How's the roads going to be tomorrow morning? I would say this. There's going to be some black ice somewhere. Your bridges and overpasses will likely be slick. If your travels take you over bridges and overpasses, expect it to be slick. If you live in a mountainous region or a high elevation area or you have to travel hills, a lot of that runoff is going to happen until it freezes. And even when the rain stops, all that runoff and excessive rainfall we have during the day, it's got to go somewhere.
Yep.
And if it starts going down a mountain or down a hill, like Keel Mountain, for instance, it's going to freeze up, and then your drive's going to be bad. If you don't have those elements, you might be able to get to work okay in the morning. But remember, your coldest temperatures, as the temperatures drop all day, they're going to keep on dropping. By the time you wake up tomorrow, we're in the teens. So there's nothing like fringe on this. Like once it freezes, it's freezing, and it's going to stay that way. So even if you have a 9 or 10 o'clock commute to work, somebody asked about, if it's a shaded area that you drive through, and the sun's not hitting it, and there's not going to be much sun tomorrow morning anyway, it's going to be cloudy to start the day, there's probably going to still be some ice issues into the morning. Is it widespread? Meh. Is it localized? Yes. It takes one patch of ice to slip, whether you're walking or driving, right?
Yeah, and I think what people visualize when we say icy roads would be, think of the Huntsville Havoc playing on that gorgeous sheet of ice. You know, that's what a lot of people assume, you know, icy roads, just completely iced over, impassable. Think of 2024, how miserable that was. And that was compiled too. That was the sleet that got packed down because people were driving on it, and the more it gets packed down, the slicker it gets. We're not dealing with that situation, but it's just the patchy black ice. It doesn't have to be the entire road you're on. You could be driving just fine, and then you run into that one spot, and then before you know it, you're having a bad time, you're in a ditch or something. I don't talk like Jeff does.
No,
yeah,
my hands go. They just go. I don't play
love
games.
it. He's animated, he's passionate, and, you know, a lot of energy trying to just, you know, let you guys know what's going to happen. I do anticipate improvement. By maybe tomorrow afternoon, especially sunny day tomorrow too. That will help a bit. We should see some light sun at least, those breezy winds, but terribly cold too. Think of your outside pets for sure. 26
degrees, wind chills in the teens all day tomorrow. We have a cold weather alert for tomorrow too. 5 below to 5 above is how it will feel with the wind chill once the temperature drops tonight. And you talked about, you know, everyone thinks black ice and it's widespread ice like a Havoc game, right? I can tell you a story about this. 2 weeks ago, it was sunny on my drive home from work here on a Sunday, and I was driving up Chapman Mountain on 565, and it was literally one little patch of ice that had a little runoff, and the temperature was like 19 that morning. And I hit it with my truck, and I'm lucky that I didn't try to turn on it, because if I had, I would have flipped my truck easily. It was enough where it gave me a little shimmy, and I could feel it. And if I had tried to fight it, I probably would have tumbled my truck. That was a patch of ice maybe about this big. Okay.
And you know, you bring up that example, and this is a prime example on that same spot of road, Chapman Mountain. There's always that one overhead road sign.
Yes.
And there's always a puddle underneath it. And like for me, I pass it every single day to work and from work, and there's always just a wet spot there. So all this rain, the 1 to 3 inches of rain that we're forecasting for today, that builds up on the sign, and eventually that water starts to drip. One drop at a time over the same area, and that's where you start to see that one icy spot that will ruin your day very quickly too.
Well, and a lot of people are saying, you know, what time is this all going to freeze? It's not like the same. I got to get my hands again. Here we go. Go get some coffee. I got this. So we're all saying, what time for me? What time are we? What time are we? And if you write in caps, I still read it the same way as if you write in small, okay? But areas west will have a chance to have some black ice develop probably like between 3 and 5 today. And then it'll continue to move east as the temperatures move east. So what happens is this becomes more of an evening and overnight situation. And there's no like strike, you know, midnight, the roads instantly go icy. This will be a process through the entire evening and overnight. And the roads will likely, if they get icy, we don't have enough time to dry, that throughout the course of the night, they'll get worse and worse with each passing hour. So if you're trying to make plans on when to drive and be safe and not avoid black ice, obviously try not to drive later today or tonight, right? That'd be the best thing to do it. Ashley, I think clearing on Tuesday would be a good thing. I don't think it's going to be too bad. We got to keep an eye on it. My concern would be, okay, say Monday we get a little sun and whatever, there's a lot of runoff out there. It doesn't have to be snow on the ground, but there's a lot of runoff. And you melt a little bit of that, the ground gets a little wet, and then all of a sudden it's getting into the road, and then it goes back to 11 degrees Monday night. Could there be an issue Tuesday morning? Yeah. But do I think it'll be as bad as tomorrow morning? No. And I don't even think tomorrow will be really all that bad. But my point is should be better by Tuesday. Okay? You're welcome for the information, Dave Luddy. You're the best, my friend. Rita, what does the various colors on the map mean? Huntsville shows green and blue. Oh, like on the radar? Is that what you want? Like this one here? Rita, I got you. Like this one, green is rain, yellow is rain, pink is like a mixture, but in this case, it's probably more rain, like a cold rain that's trying to turn over to a little sleet. But the colors, the rainfall itself is always green, and the enhanced rainfall, where it's a little heavier, is yellow and red. And you're going to find that on almost any radar you look at, whether it's ours or if you look at somebody on another app, which we don't want you to use, but that's what it is. If that's the graphic you're thinking about. If it's the temperature graphic you're looking at, all it is the greens and blues on this one are the contours of the temperatures. It's done by different degrees of tens. And the bluer colors tend to be colder. The brighter colors, yellow and orange, tend to be warmer. We don't have that today, obviously. But yeah, so I hope that helps answer your question. Yes, she said, okay, good. That's good.
And someone asking about the winds in Eider. We're looking at pretty gusty days here all the way through most of the day tomorrow as well. But this is going to be your hour-by-hour forecast, and just looking at when the precipitation is possibly ending, and then this is when you're really going to start to notice that the temperatures are going to fall. We'll get back to the hour-by-hour in a second. Just want to talk about the winds here. And now we've got the hour-by-hour.
I hit the wrong button and I messed them all up.
That's what happens when Jeff's driving the bus. But all right, so this is 9 o'clock now. This morning, you look at what the model is thinking. Future radar, pretty good agreement and alignment here with what we just showed you on the current radar too. So we just go through this very slowly, and we've got still just waves of heavy rain, potential for thunder. We've already seen a lot of lightning and thunder reports here this morning, even over parts of northwest Alabama too, and this is ahead of the approaching cold front. But we just continue to deal with these waves of heavy rain coming in through the day today. The winds, we're still in the warm sector because we've got temperatures. That is 56 in Coleman.
Yeah,
that might be a little generous.
The models are indicating we got one more push of warm air coming in with this before we're all cooling off. Is that?
Well, since we're still in the warm sector, I would say certainly can't be ruled out. I'd say 56 is maybe a touch of a warm bias. This is what we call kind of the warm nose coming in, but yeah, heavy rain, and this for many, maybe not you in Coleman County, this will be a colder rain event for us. We've got temperatures potentially in the mid 40s there, Arab coming in at 52, and then we've got kind of that colder air still trying to settle in over parts of maybe DeKalb County at the very least, but we just continue to see that rain. But look at the temperatures here, still hinting at lower 30s, just at or just above freezing potentially. So this could be more long duration possible sleet or even freezing rain possibly, depending on what your road temperatures and surface temperatures do, which at last check, I think in the shoals, we can go over to that, the road temperatures in a second, I think was about 34 or so, because the air temperature I think was 36 at Northwest Alabama Regional Airport. But I would say by about the noon hour, we start to see a break in the precipitation for you in extreme northwest Alabama. We continue to deal with that rain, and this rain starts to move out pretty quickly here, where we still have temperatures in the 40s where it is raining over northeast Alabama. So that is good news for you on Sand Mountain. But this is still, all that water is going to remain on the roads, initially at least, through this afternoon, continuing to see the rain move off to the east. So by 3 o'clock, everyone should be dry. And that's kind of the timeline that we had for today. But we're still cloudy, so we're not seeing really any peaks of sunshine. We've now got temperatures at 3 o'clock below freezing, areas basically west of I-65. And then temperatures just start to fall and fall fast here by 5 o'clock in the evening. Now here's 7 o'clock. The sun has set. We still have breezy winds and the air is very dry. So Evaporation will take place, even though it's very cold. Evaporation still takes place. If you have dry air, our dew points will be much lower too. But we've got 7 o'clock temperatures in northwest Alabama in the lower 20s already. Everyone else is now just about below freezing, and this is where we start to see that ice developing, patchy black ice on the roads. Hopefully the combination of the dry air and the gusty winds. No precip expected tomorrow. That does do us a pretty significant favor, but this is what we've got for morning temperatures, 7 o'clock, and this is the reason most school districts went ahead and canceled school tomorrow, because of the possibility of black ice. You don't want your kids on a school bus driving around to school on a Monday morning, potentially on roads that have, icy conditions, and then we just go a little bit farther into the day. Now, by late morning into the afternoon, this is lunchtime now, temperatures are still in the mid-20s. We are seeing sunshine, aiding in the drying process of the roads, or at least eliminating some of that patchy black ice, but our temperatures are still just sitting there in the mid-20s. Northwest wind there, 13 miles per hour, and this is why your wind chill for a big portion of the day on Monday is what, single digits and teens?
Yeah.
With the exception being tomorrow morning, some of you could even be below zero.
It's coming
in about 5 below, which for our standards, that is very, very cold. You worked in Wyoming, I worked in Rapid City. We saw mornings a lot worse than that.
80 below.
Also, yeah. but
this is cold though.
And this is a night I'm going to drip my pipes because the last thing you want is get some frozen pipes coming out of this situation too. It's going to be cold for everyone. Whether or not everyone sees widespread patchy black ice, that's a little more uncertain in this. The fact we have about 3 hours of daylight after the precip ends, plus the dry air, the northwest winds, thinking optimistically, the best case scenario, all the roads dry out just like that. But with the amount of rain that we're seeing and are forecasting, I think we just have to anticipate some form of hazardous travel tomorrow morning for sure.
Yeah, and like somebody just asked, I don't know who it was, the comment went really fast. So everyone's going to call to work because of rain. I don't remember your name, but I think this is a little bit more than just rain. That's what we're trying to tell you is yesterday we had frozen precipitation, and then now we have some rain, and there's even maybe some mixing in northwest Alabama. The rain is going to be on the roads and make things wet, and normally you wouldn't call to work for rain. That's a great point. But when you have freezing temperatures come in tonight and it freezes up, we already saw the impacts of what literally an hour of freezing rain could do yesterday.
Is that thunder?
Oh yeah, we had some thunder earlier. You hear it?
But no, but I thought I heard it actually here now too.
That's probably that right there, moving through down by Hartselle, maybe a little lightning strike there. I can't see it. There's a glare, but yesterday we had an hour or two of freezing rain in the morning, and it locked everything down for the whole morning for parts of Huntsville, right? So I think what happens is like Jody just said, I think you're missing what they're saying in the video. It's not the rainfall that would make you call out. It would be the cold temperatures tonight, freezing the rainfall on the roads, causing some black ice conditions. And that's exactly what could happen. And that's why you probably would have to miss work, or maybe have to take precautions to leave early, or maybe leave ahead of time, or whatever your schedule is, work around it. Anytime you have black ice. Black ice is, I find it to be something that when you're driving, there's a chance for it to be icy because you've heard the forecast.
Yep.
But until you're actually experiencing it and you get on one of those roads that's a sheet of ice and you're like, oh my gosh, what do? I'm sliding into the side of the road. Oh my gosh, I'm in the embankment. Now the wrecker has to come and get you out, and now you ain't going to work anyway, so it doesn't matter.
And the wrecker might have a few more vehicles to attend to before it gets to yours as well. Looking at our temperatures here, it's been a steady 36 in the Shoals Northwest Alabama Regional Airport. You're up to 34 in Russellville. That's an improvement too. So probably a lot of cold rain now spreading out across the area. Unsure of the sleet reports too. We have the Shoals camera, right?
Yeah, I got it right here.
But everyone else is above freezing. And then once I show the Shoals camera...
Oh, no, Eric, you're going to get mad at me because I don't have it in the right spot because I was moving things around.
That's okay.
This is a very fluid show that Jeff Desnoyers has built over here. And let me just say this real quick. Susan's asked 3 times. Susan, is it Lachinsky tomorrow evening? you have a better chance or a higher chance of having some black ice tonight, not so much tomorrow, Susan. It will be a lot lower chance. I would say probably very, very low. So tonight is the main concern, Susan, okay? I just wanted you to know that. Because you asked the question
tomorrow morning, yep. Yeah, so here's the Shoals camera. It looks like we've got standing water developing on the grassy areas just from the amount of rain and melting sleet probably from yesterday too. Looks like the road that is over Wilson Dam itself. Can't really see. Do you have it up here by chance or no?
It is. It's one of the camera shots up there. And the live view at the top. This should be one of them. I know you. I'm so.
It's fine. It's fine. But it does look like that that area that had the ice on the elevated, the little bump before you go over the dam itself. It does look like that has potentially melted, and now is just wet, obviously, which is improvement for sure. Yesterday at this time, this was all coated with sleet, that whole area.
Oh, yeah.
It was
dicey and icy.
That was a prime example of, the elevated roads are the first ones to go. Bridges, overpasses, elevated roads, that's always the situation. And sometimes you get that good visual of why we tell you that, and yesterday was a good example of that. Rain totals really starting to ramp up. Again, the 1 to 3 inches, I think we'll have no problem meeting that for most places. The rain's starting to fill in now for parts of Marshall, Jackson, DeKalb County too. We've got 1 inch of rain, 9/10 in Pulaski, 1/2 inch up there in Fayetteville. Still have those road temperatures, so even though it might be just what you think is plain rain, if this is correct, using this tool from our Barron product, the road temperatures, not sure if this is off of sensors or what, we're still maybe seeing a little bit of freezing rain out of this coming. If those surfaces like the roads, sidewalks, parking lots, or power lines for that matter, are below freezing, this rain is going to freeze to it. So definitely a concern with this too. But this is just a dynamic system.
It is.
And it's been a long duration event too.
It is.
And maybe just some people being stuck at home all weekend,
Well, you get cabin fever,
You do?
You get a little cranky, I get it. But like, Aletha, I want to address your question. She says, so in general, black ice tomorrow morning. Aletha, that might be the best comment of the day, because yes, that's exactly what we're trying to say, is trying to pinpoint exactly where it's going to be is going to be very difficult. We think there will be an issue tomorrow, but I think like the way you said that, Aletha, black ice, a concern tonight and tomorrow, yes. And obviously elevated areas would be more concerned, bridge overpasses, but great comment, appreciate that, and good stuff. Somebody just said thundering in Underwood, yeah. We've had numerous reports of thunder, everybody. Oh, and that reminds me too, before I say anything else, yesterday's streaming, updates on Facebook and Twitter, or X, sorry, and also this morning. Thank you, everybody, for your updates, okay? So yesterday when the precipitation, can I go back to using hands again?
You can.
Okay, so precipitation, here they come. I had to sit down too, I'm an old man, I have a bad back. So what happens is yesterday when the precipitation was changing over, or we had freezing rain and sleet and multiple ways of getting slick, I relied on you all on social media to give me updates. And you don't have to be a meteorologist. You can just go outside or look at the window and you say, Jeff, it's raining. And then I'll say, okay, well, that's probably freezing rain, but I appreciate it gives me an insight. Or you say, oh, I can hear it hitting my roof. It's sleet. Okay, cool. Thank you. Where are you at? Okay, good. And I can go to air and I can explain that to the people at home watching. And it's a great way to be like, have like a set of eyes in almost every single location of the Tennessee Valley. And the only way I can do that is when you contribute. So thank you.
Yeah, appreciate all your reports, obviously. So helpful in an event like this. And This is another thing. I think yesterday it was deceptive for a lot of people because we talked about the concern for freezing rain and sleet. But if you don't see that sleet actually accumulating, you're like, oh, it's fine. It's just a little bit of cold rain. Yeah. And then you take a step outside and you're like, oh, this is kind of slick. If you don't actually see it on the grassy areas or whatever, people are like, oh, it's fine. And then, they're on air saying, please stay off the roads. We don't just say that to keep you cooped up at home. We want you to live your life too. But like, if we go ahead and go as far as saying stay off the roads, most of them are closed. They close them for a reason. It's a lot of work to put up all those barriers, but they know that work is worth it to keep you guys safe and to keep people, because now if you have people crashing, guess where the first responders have to go?
And they take longer to get there.
They do,
Yep.
and that fire truck, big heavy truck, doesn't mean it's great on ice either.
No.
They don't enjoy it, ambulances for that matter.
You're right, and it wasn't us, like yesterday morning, I wasn't telling you to stay off the roads. I didn't have a choice. Emergency personnel took care of that.
Yeah.
Authorities came in and started shutting roads down. They were like, nope, you can't drive on this. This is too dangerous. Parkway.
Like that.
Yeah, I do this. This is you can't drive. That's the no drive sign. So the Parkway itself, they put the barriers up. They got them up quick.
Yeah.
And we still watched one person actually try to move the barrier at the exit in front of us and get back on the highway. And after they put those barriers up for a reason. Now I read a comment on here just minutes ago. It's on the web. It's on the internet, so it has to be real. So he said, if the roads are closed and you get into an accident and try to break down one of those barriers and go on a road, and your insurance company finds out, you do not get reimbursed in your accident.
I believe it. Well, this should go without saying, but if there is a barrier on the road, do not move said barrier. But I know, going back to my South Dakota days, my first TV job, they would close Interstate 90 when we would have horrific snowstorms and blizzards, and they would put the gates down and everything.
Yep.
But if they had to come rescue you, I forget what the fine was. But
it was like $2,500 or $4,500.
Oh, it was a lot higher
than
than
that.
Yeah, because they had to pull out this special vehicle that had tank treads on it, and they would go out and they would start rescuing the people. Some were on the road before it got closed, for that matter. But the fines were definitely substantial. But then again, you're putting other people at risk too. The people whose job it is to save you, but they shouldn't have to if you're ignoring safety protocol.
Well, Rapid City, for those of you who don't know, Rapid City and Cheyenne, Wyoming aren't too far away from each other. In a distant world before we met here, Eric Burke worked in a market that I worked near too in Cheyenne, and I didn't have I-90, but I had I-80.
Yep.
And the barriers would come down, and if you tried to go up the summit to Vitavue and go to Laramie to the college from Cheyenne, and they closed the road and you drove around that, the fine, sometimes they were like, yeah, we're not going to even come get you. You better have a way to stay warm in your car. Because once they closed the roads, they didn't play games. And that's something here. Every time the Parkway gets shut down not shut down, but the Parkway, the bridges and overpasses, we literally at the station can watch this exit ramp, and we could put a timer on it. At some point in the next hour after those barriers are put on, somebody's going to come and try to move it and go on the highway. They do it all the time.
And that is the most probably prominent elevated road, through most of the metro areas too. It's all overpasses, underpasses too. So
LeBaron, you said basically everybody in chat trying to find out if we get to work tomorrow. I answered your question about the black ice. I can't control if you want to go to work tomorrow or not. You have to make that call. Adults make their own calls on that. But I can tell you this, if there's a widespread black ice issue tomorrow morning, I would probably see if you could maybe check with your boss and go in a little bit later. But, the decision would have to be ultimately yours if you think it's safe enough to drive to work. We can tell you that there's going to be black ice on the roads, but that comes down to, I can't tell you if you can drive from point A to point B. Now, I can tell you if the roads are closed, you might not have a choice.
Correct.
Right? But that very well could be a situation where some of the roads do get closed tomorrow morning because of black ice. Governor's Drive, going up the S-curve from Montesano. That's a runoff. That is runoff city right there. And that is always icy when you have a situation like this.
And Governor's Drive has had notorious events with the potential flash freezes, which it can't be ruled out here tonight. Depends on when the precip ends and how much wind we get to aid in the drying process, along with the dry air coming in too. But it's a very evolving situation. Someone made a great comment. Just keep checking back. I can assure you that we will have extensive coverage on road conditions during our evening newscast at 5 and 10 o'clock. Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis in this evening. And of course, tomorrow morning too. Our morning newscast starts at 4:30. We will be all over the road conditions and letting you know what to expect, what the roads look like to the best of our knowledge using our tools. But again, err on the side of caution. Use good common sense and judgment. I know it's your job. Yeah. It's important.
We don't have a choice. We kind of have to be here. We get told that, but like we want to be here to keep you safe. One thing everybody's asking: can we just address the radar? We have it up. We don't want to keep our ugly smugs up, so we leave the radar up. But a lot of you saying, Is that pink, sleet, and ice? Is it coming closer to me? And then somebody said pink tends to represent ice. Yes, Christopher, you're right. In this case, though, the radar beam is probably a little confused, right? We're probably seeing more in the way of just some rainfall. It's basing it off an elevated look a bit. So it's probably got some iciness to it, but it's reaching the ground probably more in the liquid form. But if we're going to have any slick spots this morning, based on the precipitation that's falling, it would be for areas west, which is still in the ice storm warning technically that we had issued back on Thursday.
Yeah, and that goes all the way through this evening too. And that Jeff made a great point. No matter what radar site we use here, I think we're on high top right now in Jackson County. You have to think of how far that radar beam is going. So a lot of this precipitation is going to fall in a frozen state for almost its entire journey down to the surface, and then it might start to melt, falling as just plain cold rain. But when it hits a surface, our latest road temperatures were right around freezing in northwest Alabama. That's where you get that freezing rain effect. So the radar is doing its best to depict what type of precipitation we're possibly looking at. If we just switch between the radar sites here, you notice that it doesn't change a lot. It keeps it pretty consistent. It's basically just factoring in the temperatures and what it thinks is happening as far as precip. I'd say this is one of the tougher events when it comes to using this product. Lightning count has gone down. I guess I should reiterate, we're not forecasting any form of severe weather today. Wouldn't that just be the icing on the cake?
There's a severe threat along the Gulf today.
Yes, you got to head very far south and drive through a lot of rain before you get to any potential threat of strong to severe storms. But yeah, I mean, this is just a system that if we could have broke the forecast into probably 8 different zones.
We could have easily.
If our weather segments on the news were 25 minutes, we could have covered 8 zones and everyone would hopefully, but sometimes with winter weather events, I've noticed people get a little selective hearing, or wish casting is another one of those things too.
Well, everybody, you know, and what happens in one part doesn't the other. Roman's saying, should I go to work? I go from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., but you have to make that decision, man. I can't do that for you. But I can tell you this, when you come home at 8 p.m., there could be some black ice. Somebody, Nikki, asking, will there be black ice between 3 and 4? I don't know where you live, Nikki, and that makes a big difference. If you live west of I-65, closer to the Mississippi state line, you could start getting into some icy consideration roads, and we'd have to consider that in the forecast. If you live more east, probably not, because it will take longer for the colder air to get here. So one size doesn't fit all for that answer, so I would need a little bit more information. Is it Demetia? That's a great one.
You do have a hit coming up.
Oh, yeah, I'll be all right. I can run up there in 2 seconds. How is 565 west towards Birmingham? Well, if you're going 565 west to Birmingham, I'm assuming you're going to hook up with 65 south. And right now there are no issues on 565 except for that it's raining. Same on 65 as well. And when you go down to Birmingham. Steve, no, it should be around 87. Thank you, Steve, for answering. Steve gave the generic answer of 6 to 7, which is great. I don't know exactly where Nikki lives, though. Mitchell, 11 to 3, maybe after that it's going to freeze. That was great. We have 2 different answers. Somebody said 11 to 3, and another person said 6 to 7. Nikki said thanks to both. That's great. So there's a window there from 11 to 7 that there'll be black ice in a location that we don't know where Nikki lives, though.
Oh, well, crystal ball.
Crystal ball.
But yeah, still future radar showing heavy, widespread rain. Temperatures most places will be above freezing, so this will be a cold, miserable rain. Precipitation ending probably about 3 o'clock at the latest. Temperatures start to fall very fast. This is where we start to see potential ice developing, especially by late tonight, overnight into tomorrow morning. We're going with patchy black ice potential. Look at 5 a.m. Temperatures everywhere. This is just the air temperature, not the wind chill. Wind chill could be below 0 in spots. Make sure to drip those faucets. Do your home cold preps tonight for sure before you go to sleep, or even start it a little bit earlier in the afternoon. Just dripping those faucets, just a steady drip to keep your pipes from freezing, because this is dangerous cold. We've got that extreme cold warning, I think it is, out for tonight into tomorrow. And hopefully by tomorrow afternoon, we actually get to see a little bit of sunshine. Temperatures won't get above freezing, though. So there's even the possibility of patchy black ice lingering as we go through Monday and then maybe even into Tuesday morning too. We'll get to your extended forecast here.
We got to wrap up for a minute.
All right. But yeah, looks like we've got 50 degrees to look forward to by Tuesday of the following week.
Well, that makes me feel good. 10 days later, it could hit 50 degrees. What are you doing? So I got to take you back on the camera for a minute, everybody. I know this might be just heartbreaking for many of you, but we had to stop the stream for a little bit because I had to go do a hit that's actually live on TV back in the day when we did TV stuff. And that's at 8:59.
This is more fun.
This is way more fun because I get to hang out with my buddy Eric Burke. But 8:59 is, I'm going to be on there. It's like a 1-minute hit. And then I'm probably going to go. And Eric will be back here and he's going to stick around all day. He'll be covering the stream and the web and everything else. And I'm going to go home and try to stay dry and warm up tomorrow. That's what I'm going to do.
Good deal.
Good deal. All right, thank you all for watching. Eric's going to be right back. Let me go do this hit for real quick, and we'll be seeing you soon.
Great job covering this.
Yeah, we did all right.